if you look at this trend in online marketing, it's, to me, I see it as it's, well, what it used to be doing was just taking these direct marketing tactics that were used offline before we came online, put them into copy, right? And that resulted in the things that you're talking about, like email marketing. In my industry, like email marketing, automated webinars, teleseminars or telesummits. And to me, all of this type of marketing is just noise, not because necessarily it doesn't have a focus, but because it isn't very connected. It's not, it's lacking that personal connection. So I thought maybe we could open this discussion today with just what you see as the barriers to relearning. You talk about this in the book. We need to relearn how to connect, how to do something that used to come so naturally to us. What do you see as some of the barriers that businesses face?
That's an excellent question to begin with, and it's the same whether you're a small business or a large global multinational. You face the exact same challenge. How do you scale your marketing efforts in a way that actually makes sense, so that what it costs you to do something is a lot less than what it brings you back in terms of sales and reach and impact? And if it doesn't make sense at that kind of understanding, then it's not really going to work. So we know that the only thing that really works in terms of connecting with somebody is that personal connection. They need to understand who you are. They need to understand you as a person or an entity if you're a business. They need to understand your values, where you stand in terms of all sorts of things which are beyond the business arena, and then that has an impact on the connection which leads to business further on down the line. So how do you manage that? Well, essentially, the only way you can make this scale is by being, and this sounds like a cliche, be yourself. And the moment you say that, you say, well, you know, am I going to overshare? Here's my breakfast. And you say, no, whoa, you know, this is not exactly what we want. But what we do want is the fact, a sense that you're human, that you have human concerns, as opposed to making a sale. And that's the intrinsic difference. If all I'm concerned about is to make a sale, the only message that I'm actually succeeding in sending is that I see you as a unit, as a consumer. The only interest that I have is in what's inside your wallet. And that's all. That's the entire framework of our connection. It's very cold, it's very calculated, and it's almost manipulative in the way that I will try to hit the emotional triggers, which I think will lead to the eventual outcome. If I see you as a person, then that changes the entire conversation. The way I'm going to approach it, how I'm going to frame it, why I might suggest you could be interested in what I'm doing. And that leads to a connection which allows us to create a better assessment. And all that requires one thing, really. It requires attention. We live in a very crowded world. There are a lot of things which actually demand our attention constantly, and we only have 24 hours in a day, and this isn't going to change. So as technology progresses, as things get better, as the world gets more complicated in that fashion, that 24-hour segment in the day is going to remain constant, which means that attention then becomes the most valuable commodity that we actually have. Those who command attention eventually command business, and it's as simple as that. The only way you can command attention is not by shouting louder, because that only creates a lot more noise, and eventually noise gets drowned out by more noise, and so on and so on. But you actually create a point of relevance, which means that in any kind of communication that you have with anybody, it has to be relevant to what they need, to what they feel, to what they care about. And that leads to that connection. And when you have somebody's attention, well, that attention has real value, because even if they're not your direct customer, they can lead to others finding you, which then become your customers. And that brings on the entire sort of market share that you actually need.